Hello, everyone. My name is Arya Attari Lee. I'm an attorney and currently work at Locked In, which is an insurance brokerage firm and Service Insurance and Claims Counsel. I also serve as the board treasurer for Legal Services of Greater Miami. It's a nonprofit law firm located here in Miami, dedicated to providing civil legal assistance to individuals and families who need assistance. We're here today recording from the Miami's community newspaper studios, and we're joined by Erin Hoover and Daniel Rowinsky, longtime advocates in our community and dedicated attorneys who've spent many years working at Legal Services. So, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So, to start us off, can each of you briefly share your role at Legal Services and what your areas of practice are?
Yeah, I'll go first. My name is Erin Hoover. I'm a senior attorney at Legal Services, and I oversee our Veterans Legal Advocacy Project. I've been working at Legal Services since 2019, but I have worked with veterans in the Miami-Dade community since I graduated from University of Miami Law School in 2015.
Great.
I'm Daniel Rowinsky. I'm a senior staff attorney at Legal Services. I work in the Health and Income Maintenance Unit, which basically does public benefits. And at Legal Services, what I do is mostly lead a medical legal partnership with Jackson Health System, where we help patients with all sorts of legal issues that prevent them from accessing the service that they need to get healthier. And also I address other legal issues depending on the needs of the clients and the organization on a regular basis. I've been at Legal Services for 13 years now and advocating for all sorts of clients with all sorts of problems.
Wonderful. And so, as you mentioned, Legal Services, they assist several populations with unique legal needs. So can you describe who these groups are?
Yeah. So generally, Legal Services provides free legal representation to low-income individuals residing in Miami-Dade County. Eligibility is based on a few different factors that can include our income and also citizenship status. So generally, individuals have to be within 125% of the federal poverty level and a legal permanent resident or a United States citizen. However, we do have grants that enable us to work outside of those parameters and to serve special populations. Those special populations include veterans, students, elders, individuals facing homelessness, and low-income workers.
And so based on what you're saying, it seems like if someone doesn't know if they're qualified or eligible, what's the best practice for someone?
They should apply for our services. And there's a few ways to apply to determine eligibility, because 125% of federal poverty level doesn't really mean anything to, the average person living in Miami. So submit an application, and there's a few ways to do so. You can apply online at our website, which is legalservicesmiami.org. You can apply in person at our office at 4343 West Flagler Street, which is 33134 near Coral Gables. And our office hours for intake are Monday through Thursday from 1:30 to 4 o'clock. Or you can apply over the phone. I'm sorry, I messed that up. All right. So the phone hours are Monday through Thursday, 1:30 to 4 o'clock. At 305-576-0080. In person at our office is Mondays and Wednesdays from 9 to noon.
But there might be situations where a client has an emergency, for example, in the case of an eviction, and we are more flexible with the intake hours. So if someone has an emergency, what we recommend is that they contact our phone number through the phone number first to make sure that they don't need to come in person, even if it's not during intake hours.
Okay, because there's someone who will pick up the phone and would presumably try to direct them.
Exactly, because sometimes they have deadlines. Clients come with deadlines, especially in eviction cases with that type of issue that we handle Legal Services. Yeah. And they might need to respond the same day that they see us. So what we recommend is that they contact first through the phone before coming to our office for an intake in person.
Okay, so wonderful. So 3 ways to contact Legal Services: in person, by phone, or on the website, through the website. So why is it important that these populations have access to legal assistance?
In general, at least in our area of practice, because Erin and I were in the same department, we have different departments at Legal Services that handle different civil legal issues. But in the case of the issues that we address in our unit, these programs are designed, the public benefits programs are designed to be simple in a way, the rules, so that people can by themselves represent them on these proceedings. However, having someone who's a professional advocate, an attorney that only specializes on, advocating for people, who is also a specialist in these particular public benefits programs makes a huge difference in not only fighting denial or a reduction in services, but also it helps the clients get advocates that will get better results that they could achieve by themselves. So having someone who knows these programs also has contacts in the organizations makes a huge difference in the likelihood that these individuals are going to access the benefits they need.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think having the benefit of counsel and who is obviously well versed in these areas is very beneficial. So, Erin, what types of legal challenges do veterans commonly face, since that's your area that you focus on at Legal Services?
Yeah, absolutely. So veterans face extensive challenges, some of them do at least, when transitioning from military to civilian life. And we know that in part that is because veterans suffer from to a disproportionate degree mental health issues. And those mental health issues are linked to issues like poverty, financial struggles, unemployment, housing instability, and family issues. And so when a veteran's unmet legal needs are impacting their mental health, there is unfortunately, the possibility for a very sad outcome for veterans. And we see, sadly, suicide every single day across our country of, veterans who served in the military. And a lot of work has been done in order to study these unmet legal needs in order to prevent these very sad outcomes. And at Legal Services, we have made it a priority to address those civil legal issues that we can. And some of those legal issues are specific to veterans. And so those include benefits that are administered by the Department of Veterans Affairs, such as disability, healthcare, or education benefits. We also assist with discharge upgrades, which will enhance a veteran's eligibility for benefits administered by the VA, but also other things like access to school or employment or housing, because when a veteran is applying for literally anything, they will usually be asked to produce a DD-214. Now, it's also important to note that veterans are also normal members of our community who may be experiencing eviction. They may need a child support modification or divorce. They may been denied a public benefit, or there is a legal barrier to obtaining an ID or a replacement naturalization certificate or birth certificate. And these are all of the kind of issues that we assist with at Legal Services across all of our units.
So in terms of the dishonorable discharge situation, a veteran, do they have a specific time limit in which they can challenge that? Or do they need to come to you within a certain period of time?
No, there actually are no deadlines effectively with discharge upgrades. There are venues for discharge upgrade depending on when you serve. So if it was more recent, it should be in a discharge review board, or, a more historical service, it would be at a board of corrections for military records. But a veteran can come to Legal Services at any point, whether they served in the past 5 years or 50 years ago, for assistance with obtaining disability benefits or a discharge upgrade.
Wonderful. And what role does legal advocacy play in ensuring children receive appropriate educational services?
It could play a significant role. Although, again, parents can, and they usually represent themselves in school proceedings on a regular basis, having an attorney, an advocate that can represent them in these proceedings makes a huge difference, especially because attorneys who specialize in education, there are not that many. And we have a couple at Legal Services. They not only can effectively advocate for the clients or the kids or the parents, but also know the laws that apply to the different programs that are available to these kids in the school and how these programs function, which makes a huge difference. Also, Legal Services, this is the perfect moment to explain what we do in the context of education. We help parents or kids, actually, who have disabilities, who need special accommodations or maybe special instruction to get the education they deserve, But we also represent children who might be facing expulsion or suspension because of an act that was done because of a disability. So basically a manifestation of their disability. So having an attorney who's well-versed on these programs and also on suspensions and expulsions makes a huge difference when dealing with the school. In the context of plans and programs that are available to kids, there are two different plans that are very important that people know about. One is the Individualized Education Program and the 504 Plan. These are two programs that are mandated by federal law to schools, public schools that receive federal funding to help kids with disability to receive a free and appropriate public education, which is the goal. In the case of an IEP, which is the first one I mentioned, this one is a very intensive program that allows kids who have certain types of disabilities that are very serious, who need not just accommodation, but also might need special instruction or changes in the curriculum to achieve that goal of free and appropriate public education. In the case of 504 plan, it's slightly different, it's broader in scope, and it just provides accommodations to kids with disabilities. And yes, although there are meetings with the school where the accommodations are discussed and implemented, and they look at the progress of the kid in the classroom, these accommodations are more appropriate to kids who just need minor accommodations to be at the same level of their peers. In the case of an IEP, it's a kid who's very challenged because of a disability and needs not just a change in how the education is provided to them, but also on the type of education that they receive. And in the IEP context, we represent in those meetings, where the parents meet not only with the school administrators, teachers, but also sometimes specialists whom are involved in the education of the kid. We represent at those meetings to make sure that there is a plan that is appropriate, is created and implemented, that is appropriate to the child, and the goals in the plan are achieved. In the 504, we just represent generally when the plan is set up, and unless there are major changes needed, we don't tend not to represent after that. So for people who have issues related to education, we always recommend to contact us, and we see if we can help.
That's wonderful. And I'm sure that process gets very complicated for parents. So what a great service that is being provided. What are now turning more towards seniors, what are some common legal concerns that seniors face?
Well, a ton of concerns, but the most important one is that seniors want to remain independent. And that's something we provide a lot of assistance at legal services. In the context of health, for example, seniors, especially older seniors who might have disabilities or a lot of health challenges, they benefit sometimes from a program called Medicaid long-term care, which what it does is allows these seniors to remain in their home by getting all the services they need to remain in the community delivered to them to their home. And this is provided through the Medicaid program. In the case of legal services, what we do for these seniors is when they don't get the services that they need to remain in the community, because the alternative is ending up in a hospital or a nursing home if they don't get those services. But to remain in the community, they might need these services that the insurance might be reluctant to cover, or they cover because they don't believe that they need these services. So what we do is we represent them in proceedings against the insurance to make sure that they get the services that they need. Sometimes they receive the services and they're reduced. Sometimes they apply for more services. And when there is a denial, these clients or these individuals come to our organization for representation. And we, if the case has merit, we represent them in these proceedings. In the case of independence as well, what we do is we help older individuals to make sure that their wishes, are laid out in documents so that when they are unable to make decisions, or the time comes where they are unable to make decisions, their wishes are respected and people know what they want. These are advance directives, which are very important documents that people create, or that we create or draft for our clients, where these wishes are expressed.
Like a healthcare surrogacy.
Exactly. Or for example, if they want someone to be their guardian, like a pre-need guardian, so they can establish who the guardian is and not let the court decide once you become incompetent who the guardian will be appointed. But one very important document that we also do that allows our clients who are older and disabled become and remain independent and secure is the durable power of attorney, which is a document that allows these clients to designate an agent in advance. So because this document remains valid even when they become incompetent, that agent helps them with manage their affairs. Because the problem is once you get older and you might lose your faculties, even if you don't lose them, you might need help contacting the bank, contacting legal service, for example, or contacting on a telephone provider, and you might need the help of someone else. This document allows these individuals to designate someone to make those, to communicate with these other third parties as if they were themselves. But one of the biggest advantages of the durable power of attorney, which is something I learned through the medical legal partnership, the importance of this document, is that the alternative, if you become incompetent, you are unable to make decisions, is guardianship. So you will need to get the courts involved to designate someone to be your guardian. And that process is complicated and expensive.
Right.
And it's actually challenging for whoever is the guardian because they need to report to the court on a regular basis. And this document, the durable power of attorney, basically grants similar powers to a guardian to that individual that the older client designates to be their agent, and kind of avoids the problem of what happens once you become incompetent, because they can still use that document to help the client with their issues.
That's great. That's a great point. And one of the points I also want to point of clarification is legal services does not assist when filling out the forms for the Medicaid or applying for it. It's really when they face friction, when the seniors face friction in terms of receiving the benefits, right?
That's correct. So the way it works for us generally, like Erin said at the beginning, we still advise people to contact legal services because we handle certain issues, but maybe we handle other issues depending on grants or the type of client. And that varies, So we recommend that people contact us and use us as a resource. But generally, the way it works at legal services is people come to us when they have a legal problem that needs like imminent attention.
Right.
For example, if they get Medicaid gets terminated, or if they get services through the Medicaid long-term care program that are being reduced, and the person is at risk of becoming institutionalized, that's the time that they contact us. Also, we do food stamps, and we help people who have reductions in food stamp benefits. So when they have the legal issue, that's when they should contact us. But if they have a problem, we still advise to contact legal service because we might be able to help and make exceptions.
Wonderful. And so, Erin, can you give me one point as an example of early warning signs that families or individuals should watch for that indicate that they may need legal services assistance?
Yes, and Daniel just alluded to this, is that these federal agencies are going to send a notice in the mail. Okay, so those notices are going to indicate a change in eligibility, some kind of proposed action, a denial, or a debt, and the agency is giving you notice before that happens, right? So we are urging, recipients of these benefits to check your mail, to open the mail, and to read it, because there are recommendations, there are rights that are conveyed in these letters, and ultimately you can come to legal services with that letter and show it to us, and we can provide you at minimum, if you're eligible, with advice, hopefully with representation in that issue if necessary.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Don't sleep on the information that you get in the mail, even if you don't want to face it.
Right.
The earlier, the better, and the more you preserve your points there. Are there any recent policy changes or emerging issues affecting veterans, seniors, children, or individuals with disabilities that the public should be aware of?
Yes. I'm going to start first with the PACT Act, which was signed actually back in 2022. And I'm bringing that up now in 2026 because the PACT Act is still evolving. Now, some background about the PACT Act. This is a law that was signed in order to enhance benefits for veterans who served and were exposed to toxins, such as we see a lot about burn pits in the news, historically Agent Orange, and we know that these kind of toxic exposures will cause disabilities amongst our veterans who served in these conflicts. This PACT Act makes it easier for veterans to receive disability benefits and health care. And as we learn more about the effects of these toxins on the body, the VA is adding what's called presumptive conditions to the list of disabilities that they're going to automatically provide veterans disability benefits for, which means money, right? If you have the disability and you served in the right time and place, then you will get disability benefits from the VA. So it's presumptive. It's easier. You're not having to prove that it was caused by service. Now, another issue I'm seeing a lot of with our veterans who are coming to legal services is a debt related to applying for VA benefits with what they're calling our medical evidence preparation companies. What we are calling our claim sharks. Okay. So veterans, when they apply for benefits, they are usually represented by either veteran service organizations or by attorneys. And those are the two accredited agents who are permitted by the VA to represent veterans in claims. Attorneys can charge a fee at the end. It's capped. VSOs don't charge anything. These medical evidence preparation companies allegedly do not assist with filing claims. That's not true, based on a recent investigation by NPR. They are assisting with filing claims, sometimes fraudulently creating evidence in support of that claim. And then there's an outcome for the veteran. Sometimes it's favorable, sometimes not. But the medical evidence preparation company, or claim shark, is charging perhaps $5,000 per approved claim. And that is well outside of any fee that is permitted by the VA. And there is not necessarily something that a veteran can do about those fees, which, these medical evidence preparation companies are very aggressive at attempting to collect. Okay, so that you could be receiving, some debt collection practices that, for debts in excess of $25,000 easily. And we don't want veterans to kind of succumb to those lures. While it may be easy to get benefits this way, it's not actually going to benefit you if you have a huge debt to this medical evidence preparation company. And potentially down the road, if the VA discovers that there's fraud or the decision was incorrect, then the service connection or benefit could be reduced or severed.
So legal services helps in terms of renegotiating that debt in the loan shark context?
Well, we haven't done that. What we've done is we provided resources to the veteran for the collections practices and reporting the debt to different organizations like the Federal Trade Commission and things like that. Yeah. What we want to do is we really want to proactively inform veterans that they have a right to free representation by a VSO in these claims. Or they can come to legal services and we can provide free representation. We don't charge either for representation for benefits. But that these claim sharks are really taking advantage of veterans, unfortunately, trying to get their slice of the pie from, a benefit that is made for people who serve our country.
Yeah. And Danielle, I know that you had mentioned food stamps before. Is there anything there that we should know about?
Yes. So there has been an increase in the work requirement age. So now individuals who don't have dependents from ages 18 through 64, used to be 55, if I'm not mistaken, are required to comply with a work requirement to qualify for food stamp benefits here in Florida. So the work requirement, the way it works is for individuals who don't have dependents and don't have disabilities, is they're required to either work for 80 hours, I think, per month, and or participate in vocational services through the career source that will be in South Florida. I can't remember the name of the agency, the type of agency, but here in Miami is career source. So they need to work. They need to participate in trainings with this agency to qualify for food stamps. So the age requirement has increased. Also, there were some categories of individuals that would be exempt from the work requirement, and now they aren't. For example, homeless individuals, they used to be eligible to get an exemption. Now they don't. And what we have noticed, and this is something that Erin mentioned before regarding the notices, but sometimes the agencies don't send notices or do things that you see at legal services that they're not supposed to do, but they still do them. And that's why it's important to contact organizations like ours so we can challenge these practices of agencies. But we have noticed that it has become more difficult for people who have certain disabilities to qualify for this, or to show that they qualify for these exemptions to the work requirement. So we were talking about before about specialized legal support. Why would you need an attorney in an education case? Why would you need an attorney in a food stamp case? It makes a huge difference. In food stamp cases, for example, we are more successful than claimants by themselves to challenge these decisions and also make sure that the agencies will do what they're supposed to do, which is at the very least provide notices, adequate notices to individuals when they're going to affect their benefits.
Well, and Erin made a good point earlier, which is these services are free. These are free legal services of individuals at legal services that are attorneys who have been practicing for quite some time, very well versed in their areas of practice. So it's a wonderful service. So for people listening who may recognize themselves, a family member, brother, sister, child, parent, who are in these types of situations that we discussed today, what is the first steps that they should take to get help?
They should apply for our services. And I'm going to go over correctly this time, how you apply for services. So come in person to our office on Mondays and Wednesdays from 9 to noon. You can apply over the phone from Monday through Thursday, 1:30 to 4 o'clock at our phone number, which is 305-576-0080, or you can apply at any time on our website. And you can actually upload documents at our website, which is a really great thing. If you have a notice from an agency or some kind of eviction notice, that was uploaded to our website application, and you will be contacted within 24 to 48 hours.
I would like to add that I don't think we mentioned this, but we represent in civil cases only. We don't do criminal cases or immigration cases. A lot of people contact us thinking that we do all sorts of handle all sorts of issues. We just focus on civil cases. But like we said before, we are really a resource as well for the community. So if someone has a legal issue that we don't handle, like an immigration case, for example, I think contacting legal services is worth it because we can refer the person who is contacting us to the right agency, like ours, that might be able to provide assistance for free or at a reduced cost.
That's an excellent point. And I think that's another great benefit is it's a great hub to come in contact because even if they don't provide these types of services, they can contact and figure out maybe it's Dade Legal Aid or it's another organization that could provide those types of services as well. Well, I wanted to thank you both for your time. It was wonderful sitting down and speaking with you, Daniel and Erin. We appreciate all the work that you do for legal services. And I hope that people listening can benefit from this and can utilize the services of both of your time there. So
Thank you so much.